Hello, welcome to Question and Answers with me, Pat, from the Non-League Network, and I have got Ben here from Advantage Sponsorship. Advantage Sponsorship would be better if I said it properly. Good morning, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm all right, Pat. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Listen, great to have you on here. I thought it'd be quite useful for the non-league clubs that we have in our audience, people that we go and talk to, staff, volunteers, part-time, full-time people, to understand a little bit about what you do, but a little bit about what kind of problems you're solving as well at the same time, and what you've seen, because I know you work with non-league clubs and clubs at a slightly higher tier as well. So just give us a bit of an idea of what Advantage Sponsorship is, if you don't mind, what kind of your origin,
Yeah,
really.
sure. Yeah, no, definitely. Well, thanks for having me on today. So a bit of background on us is that we've been going for just under a year now, and I suppose what we're trying to do is, as you say, help clubs across the pyramid, but particularly those at the bottom end of the pyramid, like in the non-league, to create new forms of revenue, which is, they're all crying out for new forms of revenue, aren't they, at that level? And the main focus that we've been kind of working on with clubs is around the sponsorship and the personalisation of their stadium seats in the ground. It gives supporters and businesses of a local and national level the opportunity to have a presence in the ground and a really visible way, I suppose, to show their support for the clubs in a way that's not really been done before.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Yeah, you're kind of sort of answering a lot of the questions I was wondering to myself about what it is that you do, because the main problem you're solving is kind of what the clubs at our level are finding, which is just driving that revenue. Do you find that that's something that is landing with clubs at the moment?
Oh, massively, yeah, it really is. And the revenue aspect is it's a perpetual issue, isn't it, with clubs at that level? Because none of it really trickles down from the top, and the worst thing is when you get clubs that are in such a position where they need the money, but they haven't got the time or the resource to actually do anything about it to get it. And what we want to try and do is position ourselves as to working alongside the clubs and to help them in doing that. So the model that we offer is that we actually do most of the work and the clubs get most of the revenue. We want to really kind of partner with them to support them on that.
So, I mean, let's find out exactly kind of what you do, because I've got a fair idea, but
Yeah,
what is it that you actually do for the clubs? We'll keep that relatively kind of clear so the clubs can understand, and then we'll look at what that means to them into commercial side and real world examples and things like that. But what is it that you
cool.
provide?
So what we do is we'll come in, we work with the clubs, we partner them, and we kind of we 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 work with them to put the message out to the businesses and to the fans that really engage with those clubs, that really are, that are the backbone of that club. So we want the clubs to be the spotlight of this. We want them to be the front end of this whole initiative. So they will be sending the messages out to the businesses, saying that they can come along and they can partner the club in this new way. They will also engage with the fans as well in a similar way. But what we do is we just sit in the background. We will collect the data from the club of those that want to take part in the initiative, whether it be the businesses or the fans, and then we will do the design work of the logos. We'll put all the artwork together. We'll piece together the QR codes where that sit on the adverts where the fans can engage with those businesses, and then we install it in the stadiums as well for them. We put it all in, and we'll take it all down at the end of the season as well, and we
Super.
manage it all in between.
No worries. So you're talking about stickers basically on the back of seats, and then there's something on the other side of the seats.
That's right.
I know from what we were looking at before, you've got kind of two different types of stickers that could go on. So one on the
That's
facing
right.
as
Yeah.
down, and one what you're looking at when you're looking at the pitch.
Yeah.
So kind of
Yeah.
kind of stickers have you got? What's the difference between the two?
Which the actual the physical stickers themselves are the same, but the ones that tend to go on the front of the seats would be where, if you're a fan and you've got a season ticket at a club, you've got the option then to put your name on that seat. You can have your name next to the club crest, and it will say, proudly sponsors, or proud a season ticket proudly sponsored, this seat, and it's got your name. So when you're walking up to the ground before a game, you can see your name there. You can take a photo with it. You can have that feeling of like, feeling quite proud,
Yeah.
feeling a bit more of an emotional buy-in, I suppose, to the club, but also you're actually contributing to the club as well. You're really kind of giving it that extra push. But you're getting something from it. And then on the other side, you're going to have an advert of a business, a local business, that's trying to do the same thing, to support the club in a small way. But you've got that right in front of you. You can, at half time, before the match, at full time, you can see it. You can scan the QR code on your phone, and then you can either engage with the website, social media, even a match day offer, could be anything like that there and then, or just scan it and then look at it when you get back home.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I always find there's no question. This is pretty much just a comment from me. When I go and watch a football match and I'm sat down, I'm in the stands, I've actually got a comfortable seat. I'm always way before the match starts. And at half time, if I've got time and I'll go out and get a pint, no worries. But if I'm thinking it's going to be really, really busy, I'm going to be sat there. I'm going to be chatting to my mates. I'm going to be talking about what's happened in the first half. I'm going to be looking at whether I can spot any players who are out there who are just getting warmed up. I'm going to be making my own choices of what's going to happen on that bloody pitch, because I think I've got better tactics than they have, because I'm a real fan. And at the end of the match, I'm not heading off straight away unless it's really busy and my car parking's a problem. I'm probably going to be sat there going, oh my God, how did we get two back? Or how did we lose that? Or, we're trying not to shout the insults, because it's not right to be doing that in the court, but in a stadium. But you're able to express your just frustration of what's happened, or just joy. But doing all of that time, really, you're sat on your seat. So what you're talking about is right there in front of me. So it makes sense.
Exactly it. Yeah.
So have you got any real world examples of kind of clubs that you're working with, or is this completely new? You haven't sold a single one. You're not getting involved yet?
No. So we started, as I say, last August with initially with two clubs in the National League, in the National League level, where it was Hereford and Chester, and we approached them in August and explained the concept to them, and they both bought in really quickly. They were both really interested in it, and they were both really proactive too. They really cottoned on to it, and they they ran with it, and it was brilliant, and they both saw the benefits of it really quickly, to the point where those two grew to four. So we got Bath City Football Club in as well, and Swindon Town Football Club, who were the fourth club that we've worked with, and all four of them have renewed for this season. They found that the fact that it's gone down so well with the fans, with the businesses, with the clubs themselves, because it's a new piece of inventory, it's a new income for, as I said, not doing anything in reality other than supporting it and being proactive with putting the message out there. It's given them all an income stream which they didn't have season before last, or season before this. So the uptake's been really positive, and since the end of last year, beginning of this year, we've been chatting to so many more clubs, about the initiative, but about planning forward for next year, next season. So we've got a lot more lined up. So it's really exciting.
Now, there's a couple of questions coming up. One of them is, obviously we're in March now. We're going to be kind of releasing some of these bits in the next few days. I don't actually remember when it was. I think it's about now that you start looking at next season's season tickets, I think, in planning wise. I mean, I was talking to someone on a trade show and they were already looking at Christmas hampers. So these things happen months in advance. So if you're talking to clubs, you're not talking to them about this season now. I'm guessing you're talking about next season. So where do you fit into that sort of process, that structure, where a club's thinking about, we need income, we need visibility, we want to engage with the community. That's the way I see your naming of the seat, is a way for me as a fan to go, do you know what? I'm actually going to put my name on that seat. I'm going to put my name to this club because I really am part of this club. So I don't. It's not that I've lost my question, but it's more a case of how does that fit into now March time for what's starting in. I mean, the pre-season is happening July, but you're looking at start of the season, maybe end of July, start of August for the fixtures.
So you're right. You know, the next couple of months is sweet spot for, you know, the season tickets getting released and fans buying them up. And what we're doing with the clubs at the moment is we're sort of putting the feelers out with them about exactly when that timeline is going to be, and almost working backwards. So, you know, we want everything in place by August time for the start of the season to all look fresh and all look good for that first kickoff. And then, you know, we would then plan the installations, and, you know, based on how many people have signed up. And the way that they sign up is obviously going to be through the club and through purchasing the season ticket. And we're finding that the clubs are doing it one of two ways, really. They're either combining the cost of the seat personalisation in with the cost of the season ticket. So it's, you know, they making sure that every season ticket holder has got their name on their seat. It all looks great and uniform, and of course that will maximise the uptake for the club as well. And on the other hand, they're having it as an optional add-on at the end of the season ticket purchase online. So, you know, you might buy a hat or a scarf or a shirt. They're offering this as something as well that they can add on and put on there. And what's, you know, what's a really cool thing is that, you know, as well as the name that they can put on there, they might dedicate it to someone else. They might put a dedication to a family member, or, you know, their own football team or something like that. You know, it's just it's a really nice thing to do for the fans, and it's something that can also be pretty flexible.
That was going to be my question, actually, because one of the things is, you know, fans are part of the community. And if I'm a fan and I used to go and watch games with particular people, maybe I want to remember them. So I could probably, it's my choice as to who I want to have on there or what I want to have on there if I'm personalizing it. And as you've described, it could be in memory of someone. It could be that you're keeping that seat specific. And we've all seen the videos of, you know, two fans are there and suddenly there's only one left, and it, you know, a husband and wife who go on, and then suddenly it's just the husband or just the wife, and it's heartbreaking, but that's the reality of life, and whether that's within the stadium or outside of it. So I really like that initiative element to it. My question would be, when you go to the non-league clubs and you've got, you know, you can buy a season ticket, you can go and support your non-league club. Some of the ones you mentioned are quite big. If you're going down a little bit down the steps, reality is you might not actually necessarily have a set seat for a set season ticket, because you've got your ticket, you can go in anytime, but you might not necessarily have a set seat. So, you know, this can actually encourage clubs to do that, to allocate that specific seat to someone. And you might just, like a bench along the beach is in dedication of someone. You don't stop other people sitting on it. It's still there in dedication of that special someone. And I think that's just quite a nice message, that even if you haven't got a specifically dedicated seat to you, because smaller clubs don't necessarily do that, you can still do name it, as it were. So I like that. There's no question. That was just me just saying, I love it.
Well, just following on from what you just said, actually, and I had this conversation with a club the other day. I think it was in the Northwest Premier Division, and we're rolling out the season ticket option with them for their fans to put their names on their seats. And what they've decided to do is draw a line in the sand at the start of the season. So whatever seats have been taken, great, and whatever seats are available that, you know, that haven't been taken, they're going to put on, you know, they're going to put on sale for, you know, the general fans to be able to name their seats. And the reason behind it is that with, you know, with clubs, particularly in the non-league, you know, the emotional tie that fans have with them is so deep and it's so ingrained. But they might not live locally, you know, they might not be able to go every single game. So if they can have their name in the stadium, in whatever guise it might be, just to show their support on match days, even if they can't be there. It just hits different. It's all well and good, liking a post on Facebook, or listening to them on some fan radio station perhaps, but if you can have your name in the ground contributing to the club's ongoing development and success, it's something that we feel is, as I said, easy to do for the club. We can pick up all of that hard work, and the fans can enjoy the fact that they've got their own sort of personal touch in the stadium, even if they're not physically there.
I mean, we all know the stories of when there's a stadium that goes and people buy a bit of the pitch, or
Yeah.
There have been some stadiums where they've actually turned them into lodgings and flats, and you're living where it used to be overlooking the stadium. And if you're a fan, that's going to have a special meaning to you. You can buy, when a stadium gets ripped down, you can actually buy parts of what the old stadium was, because it means something to you, because you're a fan and you've built up memories, that emotional that emotional attachment. To me, that's just as relevant. So when I'm looking at lower league relevance, it's just as relevant to the lower league fans as it is to the top tier. In fact, I'm not going to get political here, but that's one of the reasons that FC United, it's come in that like some clubs just lose that touch with their players, not their players, sorry, their fans a little bit. And when you go down to the lower leagues, that's so important. So the relevance to them, kind of, how can you see it really specifically benefiting? I can understand on the income side of it and the revenue side, but what other kind of benefits can you see for the non-league clubs?
So as I sort of touched on it a little bit before, in the fact that the resource is so tight, it's so thin on the ground, and it just takes that pressure away. It can just take that pressure away from those clubs to feel like it's all on them. They've got to deliver. They've got to deliver. A match. They've got to deliver a team. They've got to put on a show for the fans, but they've also got to keep the meter running as well. And that's a lot to do if you're volunteer. If you're running 5 or 6 different positions within the team. We're not saying that we're going to come in and we'll take over the whole commercial team. We're not going to offer that. But what we are saying is that we can support you on something which can actually generate quite a lot of money for a club. In the non-league, it could be a game-changing amount of money for them without really needing to do much at all. And it can really engage the fans. It can also engage local businesses around the area too, that maybe haven't felt that they've got the right firepower to come in and commit to a £3,000 package or a £5,000 package to name a stand or to have shirt sponsorship on the kit. But what this does is this gives them that kind of that opportunity to take out a row of seats, take out 10 seats, or take out a whole stand. It really does kind of fit every single budget. And if you're a fan that supports a club, or if you're a business owner that supports a club, you can be a part of that club now as well.
I love that, Ben. One of the things there that I'm just wondering is, when you're talking to the lower league clubs, they have to come up with some very creative ways of engaging sometimes with their fan base, of making sure that people are coming in. I mean, it's not just put on a good team who plays good football and everyone will come and watch. It's not build it and they will come. It's not, I mean, that's for Hollywood movies. The reality is the build it and they will come situation doesn't happen. You've got to engage with your community. We would just talk to someone who's got the non-league day and the creator of the non-league day, who's saying to me one of the things that the club had done was they had a specific day when the sponsor had actually come in and given a punnet of mushrooms to every fan that come in on that day. And it's amazing. It's one of those things. You've got some other clubs who'll have maybe a local celebrity coming in. You'll have clubs that are renting out their social rooms so that they can get a bit more income into the community and to themselves. Clubs are part of the community as well, because it doesn't matter what age you are. When you watch a school kid going to watch your local team and they're looking at that player on that pitch and they want to be them, and then that player goes to their school and says, "I used to be here. I used to be one of you," or they go, "Right, this is where I used to live." It builds a sense of community, and a non-league team, just like a professional team, has that, but they have to be creative now in the ways that they bring people in and revenue in. And I think what struck with me is this was a way that I thought was so simple, so logical.
Well,
But if
yeah.
you're a club, you might go, "Whoa, I can't do that. I've got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 seats. I can't manage that." So that's kind of where I wanted to talk to you and say, "Okay, but Ben, what have you got? What can you see? Listen, long term, can you see in terms of like the next couple of seasons? Are you reaching out to clubs? Are you expecting clubs to find you? What kind of communication are you doing?"
So, so the next couple of seasons, we've got, as I mentioned before, we've built the clubs up from 4 significantly for this next coming season. So what we're going to be doing in the 26-27 season is going to be, very much along the same lines as what we're doing, this season, just on a bigger scale, and that's how we want to keep going. We want that momentum to to continue, really. We're already seeing clubs approaching us directly from the work that we've done with other clubs as well, and and it's great. And what's really cool and what's really exciting is seeing the opportunity available with this for a much wider kind of opportunity, a much wider kind of opportunity. And one of those things is, it ties back to some of the work that we started doing with Bath City, and we had the great service that the NHS offer called Talking Therapies,
Yeah,
and they took out a seat back messaging
yeah,
campaign at Bath City, and it was on the back of the seats they had their Talking Therapies details, and the QR code would link straight to support and advice for people that were suffering. And very broadly speaking, in a football stadium, they might not be full of people that will openly talk about their mental health and their well-being and things. And what this does is this gives a very discreet way of being able to access that information in an environment where you're comfortable, you're familiar, you've got a great kind of, supportive atmosphere. And next season, that campaign is going to get rolled out to 2 or 3 other clubs as well. And I think you look at the work that the Premier League and the Samaritans did this season with the Together Against Suicide campaign. It's such a huge, relevant topic,
yeah.
that I think what we're doing is we're going to be able to support that. And I think moving forward, I think we want to maintain the concept that we've got, which is predominantly bringing businesses, fans, and clubs together in a way that can create togetherness across all of them, all the while bringing in the revenue to the businesses. But if we can turn those seats into communication tools for, well-being messages like that, I think it's fantastic. I think it'd be a wonderful idea, wonderful opportunity.
I mean, I really like this, and I'm glad that we're going to be finishing on that sort of a note, because the reality is, I'm not here to promote you as a business. I'm here to explain to non-league clubs that there are opportunities out there to actually generate revenue, but also to make a difference to your fans, and the fans make a difference to the club. But by working as well with any local charities, or it could be national charities, you're actually making a massive difference in that way. And this is an opportunity to put everything together. That's why we're called the non-league network. We network around it. We've got an ecosystem, as David would now call it. That's my fault. We've got an ecosystem of different suppliers and different products, whether it's services and products, and tools helping the clubs find players and players find the clubs. But actually, we also seen that a club is a business entity that doesn't have the resources that it really should benefit from. And if I was a business and I had 4, 5, 6, 7,000 customers, but I only see a few of them coming in on a regular basis, I want to engage with those ones. I want to know what they're doing. I want to know who they are. I want to see them coming into my shop, my business premises, and that's kind of what a football stadium is. Whether you've got, whether it's pretty old and needs a lot of attention, or it's a brand spanking new 60,000 stadium, you want to engage with those people. And yeah, thank you for actually saying about the element of the charity aspect to it. It could be a safeguarding tool, it could be a charity tool, it could be a tool for mental health. As you say, in a stadium, it's normal people. They just happens to be a mix of people. It's like being in a cinema or being in a supermarket. It's not a specific person that's going to be there. So
no, indeed. And I think, just following on from that, I think every club, almost top to bottom, have got their own foundation. They've got their own community trust, and the same thing can be applied there. Fans can donate, businesses can donate these stickers to support that club's foundation. If you're a business, we can put the artwork of your business on there saying, XYZ Limited have sponsored this seat on behalf of, the club's foundation, and then the QR code links directly to the Donate Now page for that foundation. The club get the revenue from the actual sticker on the seat, and then throughout the season, depending if the team win, they might scan it and donate £3, or scan it and donate £1 for a draw. You're getting residual income for the foundation. So the fans are supporting the club, they're supporting the foundation, they're getting their name on the seat, they're getting their business on the seat. It's, there's so many different options and routes where, we can work with the clubs to, to benefit them as much as we can, and kind of really, bring the community together. To support
yeah, you're saying. I mean, basically, it's a massive link, isn't it? Because
totally, yeah.
Everything is connected to itself. What I'm sure this is going to do, and we're going to be obviously making some snippets of it as and when it is necessary. But I'm sure what this is going to do is it's going to help clubs, whether or not they come to you, but they're going to be looking at revenue and community and sponsorship and interaction, and how do we help charities. I mean, your idea then of like £3 for a win and £1 for a draw, and that's amazing. Unless you're, supporting a team that isn't doing too well, might be struggling. But that might be when they say, okay, well, it'll be £1 for a draw at half time. We haven't lost yet. But listen, thank you so much, Ben. What can clubs do? This is your chance to actually say your website. And of course, you can be on the non-league network. We've got community feeds on there. We've got services and products, so you can be on that side. I'm massively involved on LinkedIn, so I'm always doing loads of stuff on there. So I know, Ben, you kind of follow some of the stuff that I do. Clubs aren't always on there. Some of the people are, but because the volunteers are not necessarily going to have time. So how can people find you? What are you on? Where are you?
So we are on the non-league network, so you can certainly find us on there already. We're already listed on there. In terms of getting in touch with us directly, our website, www.advantagesponsorship.com, and on the contact us page on there is my direct email address, which is ben@advantagesponsorship.com, along with our social media handles. But we've got Instagram, which is @AdvantageSponsorship, Facebook, which again is @AdvantageSponsorship, and we've got LinkedIn, which if you put Advantage Sponsorship in, we'll be right there. So any clubs that want to even just talk about how we can help and are a bit curious around the whole thing, I'm always up for a chat about it. Always.
That's the thing. I mean, you're not just selling a service and a product ultimately with it. You're actually talking and communicating with clubs, and sometimes it's just opening that conversation, because a club might go, I don't know how to generate revenue. Like, literally, the worst thing a club can do in that situation is do nothing. And I keep saying this, and our platform is free. The platforms that we work with, there's an element there, the community. And for me, the worst thing someone who's working in marketing or working in trying to drive revenue in a club is to do nothing and moan about it. Because that's not what your other clubs are doing in the area. They're doing something about it, and just get involved and have a chat with Ben and see what happens. Thank you, Ben. Really appreciate this. And
thanks for having me.
Kept it within half an hour. How was that?
Perfect.
It's really good talking to you, and I look forward to finding out any more stories that you've got and any other clubs that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate your time.